I've also kind of come to the realization too, just like learning and thinking about all the history I've learned over the years and just how this world is structured. What does it all mean? Things like this, and so that's kind of why I've been thinking about all this stuff. And when I think about all this, and I don't know, take a breath for a sec. Take a breath for a sec. Yeah. More just I've been struggling. Just recovering from my I used to use benzos a lot. I was a big benzo addict up until, I don't know. I mean, I came up here in 2022 for rehab, so, my mom died a year before that from cancer, which is a shame. It's sad. But I think people wonder, I don't know. I think what's happening today is a reaction to the internet. At its core, it has to be, right? Because that's kind of what I'm reacting to. I've had an iPod since I was 12, right? So I've been kind of like on YouTube watching the world unfold since then. And so I'm just honestly giving my take and opinion as I start to grow up too. And I'm starting to grow up now and starting to kind of realize like what's true, what's not true. And I remember getting in arguments when Trump first was around back in it's 2016 or so. And I never really understood why older generations would disagree with it or not. Yeah, they would disagree with it. And I have to say, like, I didn't even say this. Well, my grandfather, my grandmother and grandmother we definitely didn't agree, and my uncles, we also didn't agree. And I what they were saying were like party lines, like it was just like things people say to what I was saying. They weren't really addressing about what I was saying, which was kind of my point about Trump, right? And what Trump is seeing, because he's using the silent majority type tactic that Reagan used. And I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, what does this mean for the world? What does it mean for Canada? What are we supposed to do? And I think it pretty clearly means something pretty damn good, man. And I think this nihilism about what this world means is wrong. It's wrong. It's not what the world means. The world has meaning. The world is like overabundant with meaning. Sometimes you can see too much meaning, and it can be hard. Or sometimes you don't see enough, and you feel disconnected. There's cycles and waves to this. But I'm overwhelmed with a sense of joy and gratitude for humanity. I really think humans have maybe discovered one of the greatest things in our human history. And it's not glorious, it's not sexy, it's nothing like that. Well, it's the UN, and it's the UN. I know Trump's not a fan of the UN, but of course he's not. He's a realist at his heart, And so any American realist is not really gonna care about that, obviously, right? And so what does the rest of the world do then? And what do we do as Canadians? And I would say as Canadians, really, we have a responsibility to remind people about like what the soul and spirit of America is, not just how they look on a world stage, right? Because right now they're only getting America on the world stage. And some countries might interpret, we call him a fascist, some people might interpret him to be literally a fascist. Because you got to remember, people literally take our word for us. They that's how this works. And I think liberals maybe hopefully are starting to realize this, that by calling him Hitler, you're literally going to like summon Hitler back into reality by doing that, and just creating future problems for my generation to solve. And it's a real failure of the liberals here in Canada. But in some sense, they were bound to always fail it. There was not much they could do. This was a conservative win here next. But I'm getting way too much into the weeds of this. So what's the important thing that was discovered? What am I in awe of, or in like awe of magnitude of? Well, and I guess I should share where my perspective's coming from too. You know, that flag over there, behind me there, pink, white, and green, white, and pink. It's the Republic of Newfoundland flag. It was a flag flown before, where I'm from, in St. John's, Newfoundland, before we joined, when we were part of Britain, before we joined Canada. I'm a fan of Canada, and I think Canadians should be too. I think if there's one thing that we've really been doing wrong here in this country, is that we take in a lot of immigrants, but we don't really tell them or really share with what's special about our country, what's unique about Canada, what's important about this country. Well, I can tell you that. I can share all of this. But not just me, right? All of us can. All of us have to speak truth and have to tell the truth. But also, too, that's not good enough. We have to go forth into the country here and build institutions locally with our community, civically. That's the way forward, because we have to determine what Canada actually is. When Donald Trump when he makes the point at us that we could become the 51st state, his point is not that they're going to roll tanks into Ottawa. His point is that, I mean, and some people make the point about how, I think people miss, this is the real thing about that I think is the most important. It's that we can become Americans without them ever invading us. We can become Americans by just consuming only their culture. If all we do is consume their culture, if we don't speak our own language, our own culture, if we don't post that to the internet, for example, like what I'm doing here with this video, then what does Canada even mean? What does it even stand for? All of us know, and all of us need to say it. And I plant my flag with that. I plant. That's the red lines that I draw. I believe in Canada. I believe in Canadians. I think there's an expiration date on this government. I guarantee you by March 27, they're done. And if not, well, I won't even speak about that. But that is a red line for me. We don't mess around with the rights. And I think every man needs to claim that to a degree. If you want your manhood back, you want to feel like a man. And I don't mean that derogatory to any woman. Women should also feel assertive. You have a right to vote. Women earned that right to vote. They fought for that right to vote. And it's just like in the war, in World War II, men and women died fighting Nazism. Men and women died for that. They died to get that off of us. People died to get rid of, well, no one died necessarily to get rid of communism, but we beat that through our own culture. Now, they've had this second act at culture towards us, and I see that. But it's up to us to decide if they win or lose here. The Americans don't care. It's not up to them. They don't care what we do. It's up to us. And I think Canadians entirely miss this, that if all they do is consume American media, then they are an American by definition. I don't really know what else to say. And not just that, but if the next generation of people who move to your nation don't know your own damn culture, then, well, guess they can't take it on, can they? My girlfriend right now, she's from Ethiopia, and she was born here in this country, but she's from Ethiopia. And I've told her lots of things about Canada, pretty basic history, no idea. Here in this public education system in Toronto. She's at York now, and I even saw it at U of T. I saw it there. I've seen it everywhere. I mean, I love U of T though. U of T is a fantastic school. These are really great schools, and it's not even about the schools themselves. But you know, even that stuff is American theories. It's stuff taken from America. The data for it is it's done on America, like critical race theory, and so I think it's very imperative that Canadians understand that this is very important to us. This is very important, but it doesn't have to be. If we treat it like it's not important, and we treat the Americans like a joke, then we're a joke. Honestly, and we've already become a joke on the world stage because people have forgotten what the fucking point of us is. And I think Canadians have forgotten what the point of us is. I think Trump helped wake us up to that to a degree, but I do think liberals are still seeing the wrong picture. They're not seeing the right thing. We must define what it means to be Canada. We have to educate young people on what it means to be Canadian. Because if they don't believe in it, then it dies with them. If they don't believe in it, it dies with them. And that's the truth about it. You know, and it's the same with God. If we don't believe in God, it dies with us. However, the rough part is, God, just like luck, works whether you like it or not. It's just what it is, you know. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to end it here in a sec. But I just want every man out there, especially Canadian men, to know that you're not alone thinking these things. And that it's not over. And that you don't have to fall into doomerism. You don't have to fall into, and not just men, but men and women. Like as human beings, we're incredibly strong creatures. We are incredibly resilient creatures. As human beings, we're not the smartest. We're not the strongest. But what's unique about us is our ability to cooperate. It's our ability to talk. You know, it's funny, but really intrinsically, nothing makes us all that different. But that's exactly what makes us different, is our ability to abstract. It's our ideas. That's what makes us different. And so we have to change our ideas if we want a different outcome, because humanity is fundamentally made up of that. It really is. And, you know, this country, and truthfully, I should say this, well, this country was founded on compromise. Live and let live, to a degree. But, you know, that's not the sole history of this nation. And everything that's happened in this nation is worth celebrating. You know, the defeat of the Americans in the War of 1812, that's worth rejoicing in. For sure. Very important for the outcome that's happened today. And our ancestors went and fought and died to defeat Nazism. And I'm proud of my Irish ancestors for the Irish Revolution, you know. And and I hope people see that. What's being given to us today is a great gift. It's a great gift. And yeah, it's not pleasant, but, you know, it's not pleasant for sure. But that's the gift about it. You know, you have to understand that. That's why it's good. Because, see, if it was bad, if everything was contrived and you didn't have any free will and there was no choices you can make, then what's the point? That's a dystopia. The fact that we know there are problems, and the fact that our government, and we can speak truth to power, that is evidence that you're not enslaved and that you are free. And so, you know, you can be zombified, you can keep your head down and drop out, tune in, drop out. But to participate and to be humble and to recognize that you might be wrong and that you're open to seeking the truth, do you find the adventure of your life? And I want to leave you with that. Still kind of getting used to the camera. I'm not exactly super used to being on camera. But I appreciate anybody who watches this. Yeah. And there'll be more videos to come. Okay. Take care, everybody.